Alright. Point number 2 on, or not really point, he says, you might also want to familiarize yourself with the following facts. Okay, so this is dealing with Sinaiticus and Vaticanus. His fact number 2. Tischendorf, the guy who discovered Sinaiticus, who had seen both manuscripts, believed they were written by the same man, possibly Eusebius of Caesarea, who lived from 260 to 340 AD. There's a problem with this fact, okay? Now, I haven't gone and tried to get, I think Tischendorf actually has printed some books from his day. Of course, this is the 1800s, so it might be hard to find. But none of these were copied by one man. They were done by scribes. And oftentimes, there would be a group of scribes working on the same manuscript. So to oversimplify and to say that they were written by the same man, first of all, it goes against the whole spirit of Tischendorf with his discovery of Sinaiticus. And, he found other manuscripts too, but that was like, kind of one of the big ones because it was, the oldest one that he found. Anyway, so that is, very questionable as to, its validity in a factual manner. Were written by the same man. It was done by different scribes. So, anyway, fact number 3. Vaticanus was available to the King James translators, but God gave them sense enough to ignore it. The King James translators, as far as when it comes to Greek manuscript, they only utilize the Textus Receptus when it comes to Greek. Now, they had a, we went over this in previous material with the introduction, so I encourage you to go back and check that out again. But to say that they had access to the Vaticanus but ignored it, I think is a little doubtful, because nowhere does the translators mention it. They don't talk about it. They utilize the Textus Receptus, and you have to remember that even Erasmus contacted his friend Bombasius to check some renderings in Vaticanus. I mean, if Vaticanus was automatically dismissed as being evil, corrupt, or whatever, Erasmus wouldn't even have taken time to consult it, to compare it to what he had in his hands. Anyway, moving on. Number 4. Vaticanus omits Genesis 1:1 through 46 verse 28, Psalm 106 to 138, Matthew 16 verses 2 through 3, Romans 16:24, 1 Timothy through Titus, the entire book of Revelation, and it conveniently ends the book of Hebrews at Hebrews 9:14. That's a little misleading to put this down as a fact, because the manuscripts that Erasmus had when he was formulating his Textus, what became known as the Textus Receptus, his manuscripts were piecemealed. Most Greek manuscripts, they're not containing the entire Bible. They have bits and pieces. There are certain manuscripts that only contain, like the Gospel of John. There's some that only contain Paul's epistles. There's some that only contain 1 or 2 of the Gospels. It's misleading to point out that Vaticanus is missing portions of the Scripture, because even the ones in the Antiochian, family, they're not all complete. They're contain bits and pieces. So it's just misleading to say that. Number 5. While adding the epistle of Barnabas and the shepherd of Hermas to the New Testament, Sinaiticus omits John 5:4, 8:1 through 11, Matthew 16:2 through 3, Romans 16:24, Mark 16:9 through 20, Acts 8:37, and 1 John 5:7, just to name a few. Again, kind of in the same line as the previous argument. It's misleading to say that, one contain certain portions and not others, when even the so-called good ones that the King James only camp would adhere to omit parts. And it's not because they deliberately left them out, it's because that's all that was copied in that manuscript. Anyway, again, just misleading. Number 6. It is believed that Sinaiticus has been altered by as many as 10 different men. Consequently, it is a very sloppy piece of work, which is probably the reason for it being in a trash can. Again, referring back to the outright lie of its origin and its discovery. And it says it is believed that Sinaiticus has been altered by as many as 10 different men. Okay, first of all, you said you thought that it was written by one man, and now you want to say that it was altered by 10 different men. And when you say altered, you're Mr. Milton here is asserting that each time it was changed. Okay, where's the proof for that? Where's the evidence of that to back that claim up? There is none. It's fiction. Okay. Yeah, I have time for carrying on. Number 7. The Dutch scholar Erasmus, who lived from 1469 to 1536, remember those dates, who produced the world's finest Greek New Testament, rejected the readings of Vaticanus and Sinaiticus. Do you know why this statement is false? Sinaiticus wasn't discovered until 1859. So Sinaiticus wasn't around. It wasn't known when Erasmus was putting together his Greek Textus Receptus. And he consulted, we know that he consulted Vaticanus in regards to the coma, anyway, the 1 John 5:4 passage. Because he wanted to see if it contained, this variant reading that only what magically appeared after he had, stated. Because his first two editions didn't include 1 John 5:4 the way that the King James renders it today. It was his third edition that included it, and that was only based off of one Greek manuscript that was produced. All the other ones that he had before that did not have it. Vaticanus didn't have it. So to say that he rejected the readings, although that is a true statement in one sense, but it kind of misleads, because he also meant that he rejected the other Greek manuscripts that he had in his possession at 1 John 5:4. You see how that's misleading in that sense? And then also that throwing in that Sinaiticus, which wasn't even discovered until 1859. So again, it's just misleading information. I'm gonna stop here, and then I'll pick up with number 8 on the next one.